So on the grid we have then Stephen Nuttall and Andrew Sinclair on the front row, Paul Kroll and Mike Evans on row 2, Pete Fortune in that yellow and pink machine, which is very easy to spot from a distance. 5th place on the grid in the 88, Michael Coulton alongside him in the silver and black. Then we have Nick Portlock and Tony Mingoya in the 78 and 65. Alec Hayden and Simon Ledger line up behind. And there are 23 cars on the grid for this one, so it won't be long before the race director at the top of the starting gantry will be issuing the 5-second board, and then when he does, it'll be time to get going. 5 seconds, board is up, and wait for the lights to go red. They red now. Wait for a gentleman. Hold it. Out they go, and it's a difficult start for the men on row 2, but the leader away is Andrew Sinclair. Sinclair in the 93 has beaten Nuttall off the line, and it's a bad start for both Paul Kroll and Paul Kroll and Pete Fortune. They've lost a lot of time into the first corner, trying to see through riches who it is that's managed to get through cleanly. I think everybody just about got through cleanly on this first lap, but absolutely brilliant start from Andrew Sinclair at the 93. He really nailed it off the line. But Fortune, 88, he had such a bad run of luck yesterday. He was in contention for the victory during yesterday's race, and then on the penultimate lap he lost some time and dropped to 5th position. That's how much time, that's how much a couple of seconds here loses in Caterham racing. You can literally go from 1st to 5th in a heartbeat. But poor start for Fortune. Nothing he could have done about it. Just got bags of wheel spin, and that's so easy to do off the line.
It is. It's all down to how you roll on the clutch. If you come off the clutch too fast, then you're just going to sit there and the car's just going to wheel spin. So you've got to get the clutch control just right. So you want a little bit of wheel spin, and then not too much. So it's sound like a sit there.
Fortune, sadly, he's tumbling down the timesheets. He's not going to be in 5th position at the end of his first lap, that is for sure. I think he ended up being around sort of 15th, 16th by the time they got to the first corner, which is a terrible start for Paul Fortune. He's done the best he can of a bad job, but he's going to have a very uphill climb now. So Nuttall is going to have to try and get the lead back then from Andrew Sinclair in the 93, who fair and square beat him off the line. And as they make their way round once again, it's going to be interesting to see who holds the advantage in this opening race of the Avon Tyres Caterham Tracksport Championship. So who's going to get the advantage as they come round to Coram for the first time? They're just going down the Bentley Straight. We can hear them going by just in our peripheral hearing at the back of the circuit. So it won't be long before they make their way up towards Coram once again, round the bomb hole. And that corner that at the end of the lap, Sarah, that just goes on and on forever on the exit of Nelson, and you've got to time it so right with the throttle and the axis of the corner.
That's it. coming round the last couple of times there, as they're just coming round now. In these conditions in a rear-wheel drive car, you've got to be very careful not to give it too much power, otherwise you will just spin straight off and you'll find yourself heading straight across the grass before the last corner.
So out to the final turn then will come the leaders. Who is going to come across the line first? Well, they come down the straight past us now, and it looks like Nuttall has definitely dropped back now to Sinclair. Sinclair is a mile ahead of the rest of the field. Goodness me, 3 seconds clear at the end of the first lap. Goodness me, that is a massive difference. Sinclair comes through. Evans is now 2nd. Nuttall is down to 3rd. So Coulton is 4th in the 77. Kroll is 5th. Mingoya is 6th. Ahead of Nordhoff, Portlock, Ledger, Hayden, Zaruta. Fortune is down to 12th off the line. So bad start for him. Then we have Hume, Woodcock, Taylor, Sparshot, Evans, Sauer. Rick Tarink has dropped a long way down as well, down in 19th place. He started 13th, so he's lost about 6 places. Mazayada is there in 20th, and then we have Weaver, Taylor and Crawford at the back of the field. But amazing start from Andrew Sinclair. He just seems to have nailed the start and nailed the first lap. I wonder if there was a bit of a squabble between Evans and Nuttall, and that is what has dropped them so far back, because everybody else, I mean, they're obviously counting the laps, including that first start, because they did 2 exploratory laps, and it's judging that the first lap took them 6.5 minutes. It certainly didn't take them that long, but I guess they're taking it from the second rolling lap, and there's 22.5 minutes left of the race as a result of the extended exploratory lap. But it means that Sinclair, well, now this is his race to lose. He's just got to keep it steady now, hasn't he?
Definitely. Watching off the line, he got a fantastic start, absolutely perfect. I don't think he could have got a better start if he tried, but by the first corner he definitely looked like he already had a couple of car lengths in front of everyone else, so he's managed to pull himself a really good lead. So I think if he keeps his head down and makes no mistakes in these tricky conditions, then he should have this one in the back.
And of course, in the Caterhams, we saw a lot of slipstreaming in the dry conditions yesterday, but today these are very light, nimble, rear-wheel drive cars. They can swap ends very easily. These greasy conditions are going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah, that's it. In these conditions, obviously, you still want to be getting the slipstream down the straights, but you've got to be a bit more careful coming into the corners behind another car, because obviously you're sat behind another car in these conditions, and you're going to find that the car won't turn in quite as well as it does in the dry conditions, because you don't have as much heat in the tyres, so you don't want to be sat too close once you're coming into the corners, but obviously down the straights you still want to be trying to get as much slipstream as possible.
So the drivers will come round again. Andrew Sinclair with a 3-second lead at the end of the first lap. That is absolutely massive. And here they come again. And the field is tiptoeing round Coram. They're really struggling for grip. Very, very tricky. Look at Sinclair. He's absolutely dropped it. And the rest of the field, we've got a good battle as Nuttall has got back in front of Evans. But Sinclair has pulled another second on the gap. So Nuttall is now 4.3 seconds back on Andrew Sinclair, although Nuttall has set a new fastest lap, 2:26.324. Obviously the tricky conditions mean that's a long, long way from the lap record of 2:13.4. But it's definitely an indication that Nuttall is the man on the move as he passes Evans down the straight. Kroll is now 4th, Mingoya is 5th. From Coulton, Portlock, Nordhoff and Zaruta. And Fortune is still there in 12th position, but he looked like he was going to make a move on Simon Ledger on the run down to the first corner. He certainly came across the line neck and neck, as did Zaruta and Hayden in front of them in their battle for 9th place. But the battle really on track is for 4th position, because Kroll has got Mingoya right on his tail, and Coulton was alongside as they came across the line. 0.085 seconds the gap. Portlock and Nordhoff are about 3/4 of a second between each of them. Nordhoff has a 3/4 of a second advantage on Zaruta, with Hayden battling in for 9th, and then Ledger and Fortune battling for 11th place. Once again, battles all the way down the grid, Sarah.
Yeah, just like yesterday, it's fantastic racing. Obviously, the Sinclair's got a bit of a gap, but the rest of the field, there's kind of 2-3 car battles out there, and it does really make for some really interesting racing.
And this is the thing, because you've got so many drivers in the field, and not all of them are going to win the race, of course, but at this level, with this level of competition, if you're in a good battle and you come out on top, even if it's for 11th, 12th, 13th, that's a bit of satisfaction.
It is, yeah. It's always nice to have someone else to battle against. When you are at the front, it's always nice to win a race, but if you've got the lead by quite a bit, it does get a little bit boring. It's always nice to have someone to have a bit of a play around with during the race. But like I say, it is good to see these one-make championships having such good close racing.
So Caterham have obviously done a great job once again, even in the wet and damp conditions here at Snetterton. They're still putting on as good a show as they did yesterday. Andrew Sinclair coming around again, hopefully in the next few seconds. The cars are making their way through Coram. It's so tippy-toey compared to yesterday. They've got to sort of balance where they place and position the cars so much more than they did yesterday, because that corner can really bite and snap you, spin you off the circuit at a moment's notice. Well, Sinclair way out in front, and he's done a 2:24.845. That's 2 seconds quicker than he's managed. Nuttall has not only got second, but he's pulled a gap on Evans now of 1.8 seconds. Kroll is there in 4th position ahead of Mingoya and Coulton, and Nordhoff is tumbling down the times. He's dropped to 12th position, so Nordhoff has lost bags of time there. He's done a 2:29, as too has Hume. So Nordhoff and Hume have lost quite a bit of time there, and Fortune has come up through the field. He was in 12th. He's made up 4 places on the last lap. So Fortune is up into 8th place. He's the man on the move, and great performances then for quite a bit of a comeback for Pete Fortune in the 88. Difficult not to see him do as well as he has, but what an amazing job we have done to see Pete Fortune come up this way. He's done an absolutely brilliant job. 4 places in 1 lap. There's not many championships you can do that, Sarah.
Not many. That just proves how close the guys are right on the circuit. He's obviously been in a good pack there, and he's managed to pull his way through back to the front of them. And it looks like he's on the back of the guys in front as well, so he could effectively get himself up to 4th place within the next couple of laps.
Well, what does a lap like that do for your confidence as a driver when you know that things are going wrong and you've just got to roll your sleeves up and get on with it? When you make that many passes in a lap, it must have such a boost to your own morale during the race.
Yeah, obviously Fortune's shown that he's a fantastic driver, and he's good in traffic, which is always a great thing to have as a driver. He also if you know the drivers out on the circuit and you know that they don't deal with pressure very well, if you put a bit of pressure on them and they crack really easy, you know which drivers are which. And he's obviously sat behind those guys for a lap and worked out where their weakest points are and picked them off one by one. You've just got to go for every chance you get when you fall them down the grid like that.
Well, surprisingly, we've got these difficult conditions in this race for the Tracksport Championship. 23 starters, 23 drivers still running, and competitively so. So, nobody's really made a hash of things over the course of the corners. They now come round again to complete the lap for the end of the 4th lap. And Sinclair's got a massive advantage still on Nuttall. But if I know Stephen Nuttall, that might not last too long, because Sinclair has been left on his own for a while, and we know what Nuttall is capable of. He's able, if anybody's able to close in the gap. New personal best for Sinclair, new race fastest, but Nuttall's gone even faster, 2 minutes 22. The gap is coming down between Sinclair and Nuttall, and there's 16 minutes to go. He's pulled in, I think he's gone a full second quicker than Nuttall. So with 16 minutes left on the clock, Sarah, there is enough time for Nuttall to close in on Sinclair and make the move. He could get this back.
Yeah, it looks like it. Nuttall provided a great race yesterday, and it looks like he's going to do the same today. But looking as well at the timesheets, Fortune just set the fastest lap of the race and moved up a couple more places, and it looks like he was alongside Mingoya going across the line there. So hopefully, I think he must have got him coming into the first corner, so he may gain another place coming back on this time.
So that means that would put Fortune up into 5th position. Talk about saving your bacon. He dropped all the way down to 12th at the end of the first lap, having started in 5th, and he's already looked to have put himself back in the 5th position. And as far as he was concerned, 5th would have been a difficult position to start from anyway. It's always easier to start from the front, but the advantage is he's now fired up. In his mind, he's got nothing to lose.
That's it. I think he's just going for every chance he's got, and that's exactly what you've got to do. When you're trying to come back through the grid. But he's doing a fantastic job out there on the circuit.
So, some brilliant battles all the way throughout. Some close fights as well for 9th position. Coulton, Hayden and Ledger are all very close in their battle for 9th position. But separated all three of them, by just about half a second or so. There's nothing much between them. Then we look back to further down the field. Woodcock and Hugh had a great scrap on that last lap for 13th place. There was a 10th of a second between them as they came through. Then 10 seconds have now been pulled back between Hume and Sparshot. So there's 2 halves to this race almost now. The top 14 are separated by about 23 seconds or so. And then Sparshot is leading the pack behind. And it is a very tight pack as well. Sparshot, Taylor and Sawyer all scrapping for 15th place. And then we look further down the field, and Richterink and Taylor are the last 2, and they're still, less than a minute off the pace, but they're still battling. This is a brilliant spread, and considering that it would be harder to keep the cars on the track now than it would have been yesterday, nobody's made a hash of it. The driving standards are fantastic.
Yeah, it's like we've said, and we said all day yesterday, the guys out there just provide such close racing. They get close, but they don't get wheel to wheel, and it's great to see racing like this.
Oh, Nuttall's done it again. 2 minutes 20.829 compared with Sinclair's 2:21.703. Now, obviously, Fortune has moved up again to 5th position, as we said, and he's closing in on Paul Kroll. So a very tight battle here for 4th position. It looks like it could be on the rise. Paul Kroll and Pete Fortune, 2 of the stars of yesterday's race, and they're looking to do it again today. But Mike Evans is still a factor in 3rd position. He will not want to lose that place. And Nuttall is eking down that gap between him and Sinclair. He's taken nearly another second out of Sinclair. 9/10 of a second he pulled back on that last lap. So the gap is now down to 2.9 seconds with 13 minutes to go. So he does have the time to close in on Sinclair and make this another wheel-to-wheel battle. And this is absolutely brilliant stuff. So we're looking at the last few cars coming past us, and still there's a battle. Crawford and Mazziada were battling on the last lap. They come past us nose to tail now, with Crawford just in front, but Mazziada has got him on the run down to riches, and we look, he had to back out of it in the end, because Crawford, he did the classic racing driver manoeuvre. He made him go for the tightest line in the wet conditions and then just slammed the door shut.
That's it. That's exactly. Again, that's good racing to see. It's a bit of a risky one trying to overtake into the first corner. If it's a last-minute move in these conditions, you don't really want to put yourself into that position. But if there is enough room there, obviously you're going to go for it. But we obviously decided there wasn't quite enough room for him to fit up the inside without running off too wide out the corner.
you know what it's like to have a big smash at Snetterton. Of course, the last time you were here, you were escorted from the premises in an ambulance.
Yeah, it's not nice to have a crash here. I've had one fairly big crash at the first corner as well in the Ginetta Junior days. Luckily, I didn't end up going to hospital, but it did result in one car that was written off. So you know, I've had a couple of crashes at the circuit, but the first corner is not a nice place to have a crash.
So it looks like all of the drivers have stayed out of trouble here for the moment with 12 minutes to go, and they've come around again. Sinclair ahead of Nuttall, but Nuttall is of course reeling him in. He won yesterday's race quite considerably after an amazing battle. It was very close all the way, and Sinclair pushed him yesterday to the absolute limit, and now the roles are reversed. Nuttall is pushing Sinclair because Sinclair must have felt yesterday that if the race had been a couple laps longer, he could have got him. And here we go again. Wow, 2:19. So Nuttall really is making those times tumble down. The weather conditions are easing up. There's no rain around, so the gap comes down again. Yeah, Fortune is very quick. He's just 0.4 of a second slower than Nuttall's fastest time, so that is brilliant. And Fortune is really coming on it. Now we've got 3 wide on the run down to the first corner. This is going to be very close indeed. Oh, pack of 4 into Riches, very close indeed. That was the battle for 7th place between Legend, Mingoya, Portlock and Hagen as they went across the line together. Nordhoff might be able to pick up the pieces there as he follows them closely in pursuit. Zaruta in 12th position needs to stay hungry as well because 2.5 seconds to drink. He's kind of on his own because he's got 4.5 seconds advantage on Woodcock. And still a great battle. That's Taylor trying to make his way past Weaver, I think, as they came across. Sorry, that's Taylor making his way on Sparshot. Very distinctive car colours. It almost looks like he's driving around in Saturday Night Fever in that particular car. The 70s funky colour scheme, patchwork colours. It looks very distinctive. But Taylor was making all the right moves on the racetrack, not just on the dance floor. He got his move on Sparshot, pretty much nailed into Riches up to 15th position. But again, the field very sparse but nicely spread out. But the times are coming down. The track is getting faster.
They are, yeah, you can see out there, just looking at the start and finish rate, that the track is slowly starting to get faster. Fortune's looking great, he's making his way up really nicely. He gained another second on the last lap. I mean, Sinclair's obviously feeling the pressure from Nuttall catching him behind because he's starting to go a little bit faster as well. But Fortune's definitely slowly gaining on the Crawl and Evans in front.
So down the straight they will go, Bentley straight this time around, and it's not going to be long before the leaders come around once again. They're separated by about a minute now, a minute and 10 seconds. There's less than 10 minutes left of this race, and you get the sense that Andrew Sinclair is going to need to keep an eye on his mirrors because Stephen Nuttall is chasing him. Last time he took 0.6 of a second out of the last lap, but there can't be that much more time to find. I mean, previously Nuttall was taking about 0.9 of a second here, a second there out of his times, but now the pace is slowly starting to get a bit more normal. But Sinclair needs to capitalise on this 2.3 second lead he's got, and Nuttall is going to be closer. In fact, he is visibly closer. He's 1.8. They've just done 2:17.7 for Nuttall. That really is getting closer, not far off the lap record now. 2:13.4 is the lap record, and in these slippery conditions Nuttall is getting closer to that time. Yes, absolutely. So the warning flag for 2, that's Nordhoff. So Nordhoff gets the first black and white flag for track limits. And that's exceeding track limits for Nordhoff. We did say it might happen in the early stages, and there's the proof, Sarah.
It is, yeah. Just looking out to the circuit now, like I said earlier, the track does drive fairly fast here, and I think the times are kind of proving that point there. They've come tumbling down from the first lap of the race to 2:17.7. So the track out there is definitely drying, but obviously I think Nordhoff may have caught just a bit of a damp patch on the circuit, and it might have caused him to go off the circuit slightly. But you don't know because we can't see much from where we stood at the moment, so we've got to kind of take it as it goes.
Indeed, we need a personalised TV crew showing us the way, really, to be honest. But Nuttall is definitely closing in on Sinclair. The gap now down to 1.8 seconds. He took another 0.6 off Sinclair on that last lap. Sinclair doing well. Yes, he certainly has. We can see that on the other side of the circuit. Fortune has made his move on Kroll. He's got 1.5 seconds to make up on Evans, and that's achievable. He's got 8 minutes to do it, and he is going a lot faster on the last lap. In fact, they're about even actually. Evans did a 2:19.1. Fortune very quick lap, but he did a 2:19.4, so he's got to roll his sleeves up and get back on terms with Mike Evans if he wants a podium, and he will feel robbed yesterday. He'll be kicking himself that he didn't make it into the top three. He could have had the victory very easily yesterday, but for whatever reason, we didn't see what happened to him. He lost a bit of time, and that dropped him down to 5th position by the finish. So hopefully there is an opportunity for Fortune to make his bid for 3rd place. But it's still getting very, very close at the front. Sinclair being caught by Nuttall all the time. All of the 23 runners are still running in close formation, and here they come round again. Yeah, very close down the top three, so I wonder if Sinclair and Nuttall have been reeled in by Evans, because there's an opportunity. Sinclair is your leader. Here's Nuttall. What's the gap? It was 1.8, it's 2.5. Sinclair has got back on it. 2:17.01. So he's responded to the pressure, and Mike Evans has now got Fortune reeling him in. There's just a second between them now.
Fortune's gone faster than Evans by half a second, so he's definitely got his head down. Fortune is slowly starting to reel Evans in. But yes, Sinclair is definitely feeling the pressure. Obviously, he's decided he definitely needs to push himself to keep that lead. I think Nuttall's trying his hardest, but Sinclair's definitely got his head switched.
This is the difference between the two drivers battling for the lead of a race. One driver with everything to gain and the other with everything to lose. You've just got to be very, very focused about what you can do from your position. But it's so easy to make a mistake under pressure.
It is really easy. From my point of view, I'm quite a good driver under pressure. So I'm not too bad, but I know there's a lot of guys out there that are too good under pressure. It's just one of those things that comes with time on circuit and comes with bum in seat kind of thing. So it comes to all the drivers eventually, but sometimes the drivers get sent out quite easily. It makes it quite easy for the drivers to get past, but it makes good racing too.
We might have our first retirement here, because we suddenly seem to have lost Simon Ledger. He was consistently lapping 2:23s, and he's tumbling down the order, down out to 22nd place. That Ledger is now the only driver not to have come through, so we think we've lost Simon Ledger in the 99. I think he's fallen off the road somewhere on that last lap, because he certainly hasn't come through this time. So it looks like we finally have our first retirement with 6 minutes to go. Well, it's 5 minutes 20 now, but the number 6 certainly has, the number 99 of Ledger, has definitely disappeared from that group of people. So it just seems that Simon Ledger, he got it slightly wrong, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what was happening to him, but he's obviously dropped off the circuit somewhere around the back. Maybe it could be a failure, but quite possibly in these conditions it could have just made a mistake and actually gone off the circuit. So hopefully we're able to do something about that at the end of the race. But a couple more black and white flags coming out on screen here for car number 19. Just Sinclair's got a black and white flag, and car number 2 as well.
Oh dear, that's not good for Nordhoff, but yes, 93, Andrew Sinclair, the race leader. He's given a black and white flag for exceeding track limits, and this is exactly what we said. And Fortune has got himself in 3rd place, so he's made the move on Evans and got himself onto the podium for the time being. But Evans and Kroll were both very close indeed as they came across the line. So it's a 3-way strap for 3rd place now between Fortune, Evans and Kroll. They are really stepping it up now. Pete Fortune in the 88, Mike Evans in the 20 and Paul Kroll in the 12. All battling for the final podium slot, but Andre Sinclair in the 93 is given a black and white flag for exceeding track limits. Now this is getting once again to be a little bit dodgy in terms of the we didn't see any particular movement that happened on the circuit, but obviously there's going to be people who will have a very loud opinion about this kind of situation.
It is. It's like we mentioned yesterday. It's one of those track limits is going to be one of those things that's going to crop up plenty of times this year in all kinds of racing, from the BTCC to your low-level racing, and it's just going to be one of those things that some drivers are going to end up arguing about it, but it's one of those things that you're just going to have to accept. Unfortunately, it's a rule that's been made by the MSA, and you can't exactly go up against the MSA and try to fight the MSA. You've just got to accept it and kind of move on.
So as a racing driver, what are you guys having to do then to adjust the way that you go racing? Because obviously you guys have bedded in a lap of the circuit in your mind pretty metronomically. Now you're having to adjust everything to make sure you don't run onto a line or run off to a curve or something. What can you do as a driver?
There's not a lot you can do really. Obviously you still want to be on your limits, but you've got to be careful that you're I guess, not coming into the corners too fast. If you come into the corners too fast, it is going to cause you to run, over the white line on the exit. So I guess most drivers will be trying to come into the corners a little bit slower, or take a slightly tighter line. But either way, it may end up causing that to scrub off a little bit of speed coming through the corners. But it is one of those things, like I say, that they're going to struggle with this year.
It seems to me that the marshal board past us is going to be issuing a 5-second penalty to somebody, but he doesn't give it to Sinclair, who goes past. Car number 2, that's Nordhoff. Oh dear. So Nordhoff. Yeah, Nordhoff has been fighting his way back after losing some time earlier on, and now Fortune is battling out for third place with Kroll. Where is Evans? Where is Evans? Because he was right with that group, and the 20 of Evans is nowhere to be seen. So where is Mike Evans in the 20? Yep, he's disappeared from view because Coulton has come through. There is Evans. So he's lost a lot of time on that lap. He's lost a good 16 seconds in that one. So Andrew Sinclair has come through. He's been shown the black and white flag for track limits, but we do have a 5-second penalty for Richard Nordhoff, the number 2, and he's going to be fuming at that one because he's made his way up. He had made his way up, as Sarah said, to about 9th position, and now that's all for naught because he's had 5 seconds added to his time. So on aggregate, he's now down in 12th again. So that's going to be so frustrating when you get back to the pits. When you've had something like that, you know nothing about it, and you've got a good position, to come out of the car and realise that you've had it taken away from you, that's got to be bitter ball, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely gutting. We had the same thing in one of the, I think it was one of the Caterham races yesterday, where they had a bit of confusion on the podium because of a 5-second penalty. When you're out on the circuit, obviously you see the flags, but sometimes you don't necessarily take note of exactly what the board actually says. I think most people will probably struggle to actually read the 5-second penalty board and coming flying past the pit lane only like 30 centimetres from actually hitting the board. So I think they probably struggle to actually read what it says. And the guys out there probably won't have radio communication, so they are thinking that they're just fighting for the positions in front of them. But back to the race leaders, I mean, Sinclair, obviously, like you say, he's feeling the pressure out there, and he's putting another fastest lap of the race on his last lap. So he's definitely trying to still pull his gap away from Richard.
He certainly has. He's extended the gap to 2.4 seconds with a lap of 2:16.198, which is pretty quick indeed, actually, in these slightly greasy conditions. Trying to look out the window to gauge what the weather is doing. It doesn't look like we've got any rain. Yeah, we are coming around to the last lap. You're right, the last lap board is out, and the leader is going to take it with 10 seconds to go on the timing screen. Well, in fact, 8 seconds as he crosses the line, so they have got one more lap. And another fastest lap from Sinclair, and Nuttall can do nothing about it. No, he has gone. Oh, he's gone quicker. So Sinclair has set a quicker lap. Somebody 15.956.
Got a 5-second penalty, Sinclair.
Oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Andrew Sinclair has got a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Now, this is the first time in 2014 in British racing that I know of where a 5-second penalty is being handed out to the man in the lead. Oh, this is astonishing. There's got to be something so minimal about it as well. And I don't think we're going to want to go near the podium at the end of this race either, because there's going to be a very unhappy Andrew Sinclair. He's fought for this race and he's done everything right. 2 minute 15.9 he's just done. Taken another 0.8 of a second out of the gap for Nuttall. But now he's going to have to find something for Audi Ozone now. He's going to have to get into a Formula 1 car to beat Sinclair now, to beat Nuttall now, because a 5-second penalty, well, that on aggregate puts him 1.8 seconds behind Nuttall. That is cruel.
It is going to be absolutely gutting. I don't know whether he'll have seen the 5-second penalty board himself, but if he hasn't, I'm sure he'll be absolutely gutted when it comes to the pit lane. He had a fantastic lead and a fantastic start. He then lost his lead a little bit, but managed to get it back to just over 2 seconds. So to get a penalty after seeing two black and white warning flags, he must have kind of had some kind of guess as to what the warning flags were before. But obviously, I don't know whether he's gone over the white line on purpose or whether it was just by accident. But unfortunately, it has received the 5-second penalty.
Well, rules are rules, and it kind of takes away a very strong performance from Andrew Sinclair. Nuttall, at this rate, he's going to get a second victory. The only way now that Andrew Sinclair is going to get this victory is if Nuttall falls off the road, because he has got an 11-second advantage over third place. So Sinclair is going to at least be able to settle for second place if this does end up being the deciding factor. Fortune is in third place, 0.7 of a second ahead of Paul Kroll in the number 12, with Evans having fallen 11 seconds down the road down to 6th behind Coulton. But Fortune is 13 seconds behind Nuttall in the lead. So Sinclair will at least be given second place if he stays where he is. But from Nuttall's point of view, all he has to do now is stay where he is. The checkered flag flies. Sinclair gets there first, but he's going to be second in the race because Nuttall is going to take the victory, and only by 9/10 of a second on aggregate. That is cruel luck. Oh, that is so painful. Sinclair, with that 5-second penalty, loses the race by 9/10 of a second. And side by side for third, Fortune just pips Kroll to the finish by 0.039. 39 thousandths of a second. Fortune just gets the podium, and that is a great reward after his drive yesterday. He came so close to the win and just missed out on a penultimate lap mistake. Coulton is fifth ahead of Evans. Evans will be disappointed. He should have been part of that third position battle. Portlock 7th, Zaruta 8th, Mingoya 9th, and Nordhoff 10th. The rest of the field are still coming through past us to finish the race, but Sarah, 9/10 of a second. Sinclair's going to have lost that race by. He's going to know in his mind that he had that race on his own.
Yeah, I was just watching him as he came past the pit wall. His team still on the pit wall cheering him, but I don't know whether they know they actually got a 5-second penalty. But he'll be absolutely kicking himself, and I'm sure he'll probably learn from his mistakes on that one with the track limits. But like we say, it's one of those things that's going to play a part in racing a lot this year. But back to Fortune, he's got to come back, and he dropped back down to 12th, 13th place, and managed to pull himself back to a podium, and definitely well deserved, especially after yesterday's race.
Yeah, I've got to say the driver of the weekend for me in terms of the raw pace has got to be Pete Fortune. I mean, he was definitely one of the factors in the race yesterday, and one of the star drivers. He made a mistake on the penultimate lap, which of course couldn't have helped, but unfortunately dropped him back down to fifth position. But what a start. He had an absolute howler at the start, dropping him down to about 12th position, and to make it back to third place in only a 20-minute race, that is absolutely spectacular. Great job from Pete Fortune in third place. Bitter disappointment is about to come the way of Anders Sinclair.